Okay guys, now we're going to talk about a coil build. And a coil build is where you start with a slab base. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take this flat piece of clay. We're going to go to the kiln room to the slab roller. Okay, and this is the slab roller. Okay, so now we're in the kiln room with the slab roller. When you're making a slab, these top two right here will direct the thickness of the slab. So I like to start at 1, okay, and then move from there. So we have these 2 pieces of canvas. You open up the first piece of canvas and you set your piece of clay right in the middle of those 2. Please make sure they're in the middle of the 2 canvas and not on top to where they can stick to this wheel, because it's not fun to clean. Okay, now we're going to use this lever right over here, and you always roll towards how you want the canvas to move through the wheel. Sometimes you kind of have to pull it a little bit to get it started. So I roll it through. I can take it on this side, look at it, and I'm just going to set it in going this way now. Okay, and go in between the half and the 1 hash mark, and now I'm going to roll it through this way. Now the importance of this is you don't want to make this too thin, because you're going to be building your coil build on top of this, so it's got to hold some weight. So here is a good start to my coil build. Now I'm going to take this into the other room. Okay, now we've got all our stuff over here. I brought my slab over. First thing I need to do is cut my base. It's going to be a circular base, so I can find anything over there that's circular and trace it. I can make my own circle base out of some construction paper if you so choose. Okay, so this is the base that we will work from. Now, I like to use a banding wheel. Okay, I like to use the banding wheel because it makes stuff go a little bit faster for coil builds. I like to put a plastic bag around it because that's what I'm going to store my coil build in. And I just wrap it around the bottom so it can still spin. Okay, and I'm going to set my base on that. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to score around my base. Now this tool I like because it's got little serrated edges. It's in the hand building tool drawer, and it makes stuff go a little bit faster, so I can score a little bit faster. So I'm just rotating around. Okay, otherwise I can take a pen tool, which some students like, and I can cross hatch all the way there. Okay, so now I have the start of that. Now I need coils. The important thing with ceramics as far as coils go is you want a consistency in your coil. You want a good thick coil all the way through your piece. The reason is because if it's thin on one side, thick on the other, then it's not going to hold its form and it's going to start collapsing. This is a coil build. Okay. Okay, so it's a large coil build, and it'll be in the classroom. You can see it. But it was broken in half, and you can see that those coils, it's a consistent thickness all the way around. So you can see that there's that consistent thickness. Okay, so that helps with building the height of the piece itself. Okay, so to roll a consistent coil, I'm going to have my clay, and I'm going to cut off a section that I've kneaded and worked with. Okay, so cut off a section, and I'm going to press it in to a coil shape to start off with, just with my hands. Okay, I'm going to start it at a consistent length. Okay, now to roll this coil, I'm going to start and I'm going to go from my fingertips, all the way to my palm. Okay, so I'm going to start this, starting with my fingertips, and I'm kind of equal pressure pushing out. Okay, then I take it and I move it back to that same spot, fingertips to push it out. Bring it back to that same exact spot, push it out. Now, the reason I'm doing this is I'm getting equal pressure on all sides of that coil. So I'm making sure I have equal pressure and I'm moving that clay and resetting it every single time. I do not want to rock back and forth. The reason I don't want to rock back and forth is because I'm only going to get that U shape of the coil that's rolling on the tabletop. So I want to make sure I got a good consistent coil, and then I'm going to cut off the ends because the ends usually kind of fold up into each other and they don't make a good connection. Then I need to score this piece here, so I'm scoring it, adding slip. So I'm adding slip. I'm adding slip to the whole thing, and I'm going to attach it to the base. I am going exactly on top of the base to start off with. Okay, if it's a little bit longer, I just kind of pinch it off. So I'm going exactly on top of the base to start off with. Okay, so exactly on top of the base, and I'm just kind of pressing it down so I see the slip ooze out. And then I can take a loop tool, and on the edge here, I can take that coil and smooth that edge. So I smooth that coil onto the bottom of my base. Okay, the next step after you smooth your coil on the outside is to score on the inside of that first coil where your first coil is meeting your slab base. I'm going to do like a little baby coil. This is a reinforcement to make sure we've got a good solid base and we don't have any cracks down here. So I've slipped and scored already, and now I'm just pressing it in. Now I can go back in and smooth this whole coil to make sure that I don't even see it. But I can come back in with my loop tool and smooth this, but it just gives extra support for our coil build. So I'm going to come back in and smooth that entire coil. So you won't even notice it's a coil, but it'll be in there for the extra support. Okay, after I put the little baby coil in, I need to smooth my insides. I really like to use a loop tool. I'll support the outside of my piece and I'll start smoothing those edges. I'll just kind of pull the clay down. So I'll pull the clay up. I might get a little bit out of it, but remove a little bit, but I'll move the clay up and down. Smooth my little baby coil in here. And I'll just come around and clean up those edges on the inside. Now I put 3 coils on so far. Sorry, yeah, 3 coils on so far. I've only smoothed one. I've smoothed the bottom one to the base. Now I have 2 more on there. Now from here, say I want to make my piece go out. So to make my piece go out, I'm going to score, and I have some pre-rolled coils here. So I score and slip. I'll score and slip this. And then I will attach it on the outer half, the outer edge. Okay, now I'll do that all the way around on that outer edge. This is to make my piece go out. So I'm opening it up a little bit on that outer edge. Okay. So it'll be right there. Okay. I still want to go out. I want to build out. I want my piece to kind of go kind of up, out, and maybe back in. So I'm still going to take those coils, score it, slip it, I want to just kind of pat my slip on. I don't want to rub it too much in because then that'll make it, I'll lose my scoring marks. Then I'm going to go on that outside edge, outside half of that piece. Okay, so that one will be on that outside half. To get that shape. So you can see how it starts building. And I'm just kind of pressing them firmly in so they get nice and smooth. Okay, now from here, if I wanted to go in now, so if, say I could keep going out, maybe I get to a certain point now, I'm going to start going in. It's the same thing to go in. Okay, score everything. Just the exact opposite. So I'm slipping. And you notice I haven't smoothed anything yet. Okay, some students like to go one by one and smooth. I preferably like to go for a couple of rows and then smooth. So then I would go on that inside half if I wanted to kind of move it back in. Okay, so now I'm just going to press on that inside half of the coil below it. Okay, as long as my coils are consistent, now I'm gonna smooth. As long as my coils are a consistent thickness, it'll be stable. Okay, I really like to use a metal rib to smooth. Kind of goes a little bit faster. Whenever I'm smoothing, I'm gonna support the opposite side that I'm smoothing. Okay, when I go to do one that's in, I might take the coil and pull it down a little bit. Okay, the first step is I'm just going around. Okay, and you can use this or you can use the loop tool. Okay, I'm going to use the metal rib. Okay, and I'm going to go through. The first round is pretty rough. It's going to look pretty rough. And then as you go, you can work on smoothing it later. So now I'm just taking all those sides, kind of pulling them up. Okay, kind of pulling those sides up and in so they match up with that shape. So pull up and then in. Notice I'm using my hands as well, my fingers. So, to start off with, I've got this side started, it's pretty smooth, okay? So I can come back now with a clean rib and kind of angle it a little bit and just really kind of scrape the high parts and get a good surface that I want on there. As you build, you'll be able to tell if your piece is a little bit too fragile, a little bit too wobbly to work with at the moment, okay? If you build a whole lot in one day, it might get a little unstable to where you need some of your base to dry a little bit before you can add more to it. You can double check with a classmate or a teacher to check to see if it's too wet, if you feel like you can't keep building, because the worst thing you can do is keep building and then push it too much to where it collapses on you. Because you don't want to do so many layers and then get so far along and then have to start over because it collapsed on you. The main focus is make sure you get good coils rolled out. You can roll out coils ahead of time and then attach, like do a couple of coils so you're not just constantly rolling a coil, adding a coil. You could roll a couple coils and kind of stack them up. That's what I did for the video. But right now I'm just kind of getting that outside part smooth, or roughly smooth for the first time. Don't ever put a coil on at the end of your project and not smooth it before you leave for the day. Make sure you've smoothed everything that you want for that day, because the coils can dry by themselves and then it'll be harder to use or harder to smooth. Now the inside, I'm going to use my loop tool to start off with. And I'm kind of coming in at an angle to smooth the inside. Now, if you're building a piece that you can see both sides, I would recommend smooth the inside and the outside. If you're building like a pitcher or something like that where you won't see, well, a pitcher I would, because you want a smooth surface on the inside if you want it to be usable. But if you're building a vase or something and you want to leave the coils on the inside not smooth, that's your preference. You have to smooth either the inside or the outside. You can't leave them completely unsmooth. It's not stable. Those have a tendency to crack a lot easier. So you need to smooth either the inside or the outside of your piece. So you can show coils. A lot of people like to show coils on the outside for decoration or for texture. That's okay, that's fine, but then smooth the inside. Mostly on my coil builds, I like to smooth the inside and the outside. It makes for the strongest piece, and it'll be a lot more stable overall. Okay, but you can tell on the bending wheel how much easier it is. Otherwise, I'd have to be picking up my piece the whole time and rotating it. So, for your assignment, you have to have a certain height. So, because we're working on building coils, so just be aware of that and how you build your coils. Now, I can also come in with this, okay, with my metal rib, hold the outside, angle it in, and get a nice smooth texture in there as well to work with that. Okay, now once it gets a little bit drier, I will come in and work with that surface to make it a lot smoother. And I'll show you guys some techniques to make it a lot smoother. but as of right now, it's all pretty, it's all attached, still pretty rough, needs to be cleaned up a lot, but we're starting to get the shape of that vase. Okay, now to store this, see, I was done for today. But I'm still working on it. Okay, make sure you put some moisture in your bag. Okay, do not spray the inside of your piece, just spray the outside. If you leave moisture in the inside, it breaks down your like your base and all of that. So we don't want any standing water on the inside. Just put moisture on the outside. Take your bag, cover it up, stick it on the inside right there. Make sure your name is on the outside of your bag or it goes in your cubby. So then I can lift this off. I can put the banding wheel back in the cabinet where they go. And then next class, I can set it back on the banding wheel, open it back up, and get ready to work.